Forget protein bars when you want to get in shape. Let's face it, the protein hype is real these days. When you go into the grocery shop, you see it everywhere. You see the high protein bread, you see 20 different high protein yogurts, you see even like the high protein cereals. And of course, you will not miss out on the protein bars. Don't get me wrong, there's a lot of marketing around it, and of course protein has its place, but let's quickly talk about why these protein bars are maybe not the best solution for you to cover your protein needs, to get in shape, and to make the best out of your situation. So these are basically just a few of the protein bars that basically jumped up to me when I went into the grocery store. I just took a few of them, and now we can quickly analyze them and see exactly why they're not a good solution for you. So basically, what most protein bars are, the nutrition profile of those protein bars are usually, most of the cases, not the best thing. So let's start with that example right now. When you expect to buy a protein bar, you expect to have like a high protein serving compared to the other macronutrients. We have protein, we have carbs, we have fats. You expect protein to be really high and the other ones maybe not so high, right? Let's start with that example. Here, 50 grams is the bar. So per 50 grams, you have here 12 grams of protein, 12 grams of carbs. So you see already, like, you have the same amount of carbs, the same amount of protein, which of 8 grams of the 12 grams of carbs are coming from sugar. So you have 8 grams of sugar in it. And already 12 grams of carbs, 12 grams of protein. So these are still like equal. And now you have 17 grams of fat. So you have more grams of fat than grams of protein. And the thing is, now because fat has more calories than protein, you have almost double the calories coming from fat than coming from protein. And this is definitely not what you want to have something in a protein bar. I mean, it's good to have like one of these energy bars, and when you're hiking and these things, but you're simply being misleaded by the big protein on the bars, So literally, like, protein is not the most dominant macronutrient in here. So you eat a lot of calories, you eat a lot of fat, you also eat quite some carbs, and the protein is, like everything else in here. Of course, there are other examples right here. Same with that one, of course, not every protein bar is the same. There are better ones, there are worse ones. But for example, this one has 12 grams of protein, 15 grams of carbs, so more carbs already than protein, 8.8 grams of sugar like the other one, similar, and 7.1 grams of fat. In this case, still, even though the grams of fat, the grams coming from fat are lower than the ones from protein, so remember we had 12 grams of protein, 7 grams of fat, because fat has more than double the calories per gram, we still have more calories in this bar coming from fat than coming from protein. And this is also like, for an energy bar generally, but it's a little bit misleading. You get the point. It's a little bit misleading when you think, oh, I eat a protein bar, I eat mostly protein. It's simply not the case. I don't want to put down any brands or so. These are just, as I said, a couple of examples here. Here we have a little bit of a different one. This one looks a little bit different. We have 20 grams of protein, again, 20 grams of carbs. So we have still the same amount of carbs, the same amount of protein. And here we have the fats a little bit lower. We have 8 grams of fat. So here the calories coming from fat are actually almost the same, almost the same. They're a little bit lower, but it's almost the same. But what essentially happens when you buy these, when you eat those, you're not eating mainly protein, you're eating also a lot of fat with it compared to the protein, a lot of carbs with it compared to the protein. And what that leads to is eating a lot of calories. So overeating is a little bit likely to happen, and especially by you thinking topping up your protein intake, you're basically topping up your overall calorie intake by quite so much, because these bars are not super low in calories because they have a lot of carbs, fats, and protein. So 211 calories. Here we're gonna have 260 calories. Here we're gonna have 175, and here we got 140. So and usually you don't eat only one of these because you think like, oh yeah, it's only 12 grams, it's only 12 grams. It's only, usually you want to get a little bit more protein, so maybe you eat more of these, 2 of them. So you easily end up by eating 400 or 500 calories, which you can put into way better food choices, into whole food choices, where you get, first of all, better protein, more compared to what you're getting, also maybe better macro and micronutrients, so you get a little bit of better distribution about like fats, carbs, and proteins. And of course also maybe a little bit of also healthier choices, because these usually, they have a lot of sugar in it, they have chocolate in it. I mean, it's tasty, I love them. I don't say they're bad, but you should not rely on them as a solid protein source, you know? Like, I also eat them here and there, but I don't see them as like a super good protein source. I see them more as a little bit of a treat with not so bad, let's say, nutrient distribution as a chocolate bar, you know? So they're a little bit better of a chocolate bar, for example. So now you maybe think twice when you go out there and you want to buy one of these protein bars to help you cover your protein needs. It's super easy to overeat on these. It's super easy then to overeat your calories and then getting out of that deficit, making it basically impossible for your body to stay in the deficit and then keep losing body fat, getting in better shape when you constantly feeding yourself with a lot of these protein bars. Again, focus on whole foods. Take them if you're going on a hike, if you're going somewhere where there's no food available basically, then there can be a cool choice. But besides that, in your daily life, stick with whole foods, stick with better choices, and forget about protein bars to cover your overall protein requirement.